Switching gears significantly from Elvis Presley to Bliss, we're also changing centuries. July 9th, 1838, he's born in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. How many people have heard of Philip Bliss? Raise your hand. Tammy.
Oh.
Okay, well, after this class, if someone else asks you, have you heard of Philip Bliss, you'll be able to say yay or nay. 56, he becomes a school teacher in Hartsville, New York. 57, he receives his first vocal training. 58, he receives an appointment as a music teacher at the Rome Academy in Rome, Pennsylvania. So now he's on his career. 1859, Bliss starts traveling from town to town teaching music. So he's kind of like a circuit rider preacher, except he's teaching music to the eager urchins at each town that he goes to. 1864, and notice the significance of the date. This is the Civil War period. He moved to Chicago and he starts writing gospel. We're going to sing one of them from the war in a little bit. And that song, the one we're going to sing, 1864, the Battle of Altoona Pass, which of course is about 10 miles north of here.
Underwater.
What?
Underwater. It's underwater. That's what they said.
No, the pass is not underwater. The two forts are there, the railroad cut's still there. You can visit it tomorrow. It's open to the public. 1864, Battle of Altoona Pass inspires Philip Bliss to write a hymn called Hold the Fort. And that's one we're going to play in a moment, and I'll give you the background in a moment. 1865 to 73, he starts working for Root and Cady musical publishers, and George Root was one of the most prolific of songwriters during the Civil War period. And since he just happened to have his own music publishing company, when he wrote a song, it got published. I mean, that's the way you want to do it. That kind of ensures it. 1874, at the urging of Dwight Moody, he becomes a full-time evangelist. How many of you have heard of Dwight Moody? About a third of you. One of the future courses that I plan on writing, I have not started it yet, and I don't know when I will write it, will be kind of the 25 most important Protestant people, churchmen, I don't know what I'll call it yet, in American history. And Dwight Moody will be one of those. He was one of the most renowned evangelists of the 19th century. He wrote a series of Bible commentaries, which are still used today. You see Dwight Moody Bible commentaries. So anyway, Bliss becomes a full-time evangelist. 1875 to 76, along with Ira David Sankey, who was on our list, begins publishing a series of gospel hymn books called Gospel Hymns and Sacred Song. And this is the real reason that Bliss is on our list. He wrote some hymns that are still popular. December 29th, 1876, another reason to include him is because he died as a martyr, or at least died as a hero. There was a railroad trestle collapse in Ashtabula, Ohio. And there are a few times in my life where I get to say the word Ashtabula, and this is one of them. And his wife was trapped, and even though he had been thrown clear and was okay, he went back into the burning train to try to rescue his life, and he was killed. So his career was ended. If he died in that train crash, he might have been higher on our list. Post-mortem, his song, I Will Sing of My Redeemer, becomes one of the first hymns recorded by Thomas Alva Edison. Isn't that cool? And the songs that P.P. Bliss was published in 1877 is kind of a compilation of his work. And in 1989, he was elected to the GMA Gospel Music Hall of Fame. He was a musician, music teacher, publisher, composer, and evangelist. He wrote over 120 songs, most of them hymns. We might call them gospel hymns, but gospel in the Southern gospel type. Modern churchgoers may be most familiar with Almost Persuaded. Wonderful words of life. Beautiful words, wonderful words of life. You know that song. And it is well with my soul. Okay, let's talk about Hold the Fort, and then we're going to sing it for you in a moment. During the Civil War, Battle of Altoona Pass happens right down the road. William Tecumseh Sherman. How many of you have heard of William Tecumseh Sherman? Yeah, I figured we'd get a Steve has it. Yeah, Steve's never heard of it. Sherman's on the top of Kennesaw Mountain. Altoona Pass is, what, 13, 14 miles away as the crow flies. So they had this big pine tree by the Eastern Fort on Altoona Pass, which is still there today. You can go into the Eastern Fort. And the spot where the pine tree was, there's a mark on it. They chopped it down after the Civil War and made it into cigar box. So anyway, so they had this tall pine tree. So a guy would climb up to the top of the pine tree and they would do the signal. So Sherman's on top of Kennesaw Mountain, with the eyeglass, and he can see smoke from the battle, and he can make out the guy with the signal flag. So they're communicating back and forth. Sherman just wants to say something to kind of make Corse feel good, and so he signals something to the effect of, hold fast, we're coming. Hold your position, don't worry, we're coming. And they did a day later. The northern newspapers picked this up, and then huge, headlines like this in the north. Sherman says, hold the fort, I am coming. And this becomes a big byword in the north because the north won the Battle of Altoona Pass. And somehow the northern press decided the reason they won the battle was because Sherman said, hold the fort, I am coming. So Philip Bliss later wrote a hymn called Hold the Fort based on this incident. Now, there's two versions that he wrote. One version is kind of based on the battle, and we're not going to do that one. We're going to do the hymn version, which is Hold the Fort, Jesus. Oh, my comrades, sing.